Cahill, Director of Community and Partnerships for humm. You're watching the humm White Paper, Explored. Today, I'm joined by 5 members of the humm team. Ian McIntyre, CEO, Carla Borsoy, VP of Marketing and Customer Experience, Mark Miller, COO and CTO, Andy Hinson, Head of Product Development, and Dr. Tim Fiore, Scientific Advisor. Welcome all, thanks for joining me today. Previously, we learned a bit about how the patch works and that it can improve your working memory by nearly 20%. Dr. Fiore, what does it mean to improve working memory?
Well, working memory is, I guess, integral to everything we do day to day, not just something that you might be, applying in times of cognitive demand, if you're taking a test, doing something difficult at work, but actually every moment throughout the day, whether that be sort of navigating with a map or even thinking about the shopping list, what you're going to buy. We haven't, I guess, prior to humm, we haven't really had a reliable way of improving working memory on demand. And what that means is really being able to improve the capacity and the strength of that notepad in your mind. Working memory is where we store information for a few, say, seconds to minutes at a time. It's sort of the gateway of information into the mind. So by being able to improve the amount of information we can store in the mind, we see a big improvement in day-to-day tasks, but also people's performance in cognitively demanding tasks. Working memory is a strong predictor of performance in school. It's in fact a better predictor than IQ, and has a lot of sort of other consequences you might not sort of think about. It's been correlated with improvements in career success and even sort of income over someone's lifetime. So being able to improve working memory on demand in a way that hasn't been done before is having far-reaching consequences.
Wow, sounds like a tool most people would want in their back pocket. And how does the humm patch work for you?
For me personally, I use it at nighttime. As working as a doctor, there's a lot of study involved, a lot of keeping up with new research. After a shift, I often sit down and work through papers or study for further exams. The other tool we have, of course, is caffeine. Caffeine is not something you'd be wanting to use late at night. So for me, I use the humm patch, say around 10 p.m. or so. Caffeine obviously works chemically. It blocks adenosine, a neurotransmitter in the brain. The effect of that is keeping you up longer, of course, sort of increasing flight or fight stimulus. Humm works very differently electrically. It doesn't have any tolerance effects. It doesn't keep you awake. You're able to sleep immediately afterwards. So it's something I use to be able to study, get more out of those last couple hours of the day rather than using caffeine.
Thanks, Dr. Fiore. Now, I'd love to hear from each of you. Let's start with Ian. How does the patch work for you?
Yeah, so a bit different to Tim, actually. I use the patch early in the morning. Lately, I've actually been using it a lot with testing games to kind of measure my performance improvement. As it's just a bit of a fun activity as well as some internal work that we're doing. But I typically use humm with coffee in the kind of the first thing in the morning before I do something difficult. And typically what I find difficult personally is kind of collecting all of the different parallel streams of things that are going on day to day at humm and kind of collecting them into a plan and putting them into action. So for me, it's really helpful being able to multitask in particular. And it just makes me feel a bit sharper going into the day too.
Thanks, Ian. Andy, same question. What does the patch help you with?
Yeah, so maybe similar to Ian there. I find that the way I use it is mostly in the morning and for 2 different tasks. So I find that it really helps me keep focused during those repetitive tasks. So maybe emails or assembling some patch prototypes in the workshop. But I also find that it helps me retain new information easier. So whether I'm bringing myself up on like a new engineering design program or learning a new concept in general, I always find that I pair that with a use of the patch.
Thanks, Andy. Carla, when do you get the most benefit from the patch?
I think there's 2 times that I find the most benefit. One is similar to Andy in the morning. I love to get up and read email for like 2 hours. I read not just email, but just a lot of stuff. But really the other place I find myself using it is in the middle of the afternoon when I need to sit down and like focus in on something, like writing a blog post or thinking about what our plan or strategy might be for something where I need that moment of focus and concentration, I find that once I put the patch on, there's a big difference in sort of my ability to kind of stay in the moment.
Thanks, Carla. Mark, what is your experience wearing the patch?
Yeah, it's somewhat similar to Carla's in that if I, pretty much any time during the day, not just morning or evening, but when I see myself heading into a period where I need to have more focus or more attention on detail and maybe a high degree of analytical thinking, something like that, I'll often use the patch in anticipation, like before I start doing something like that, because I found that just the general nature of using the patch, I tend to have an enhanced focus, and my mind is a little more present. And part of the benefit of that ends up being that I'll have some level of improved retention, as well as maybe enhanced cognition. Maybe I'm picking up a little bit more than I would be otherwise. Sure feels like it.
Thanks, Mark. Humm has created an easy to use and easy to wear patch that, as you can hear, provides several important benefits. Tune in for other segments from the Humm White Paper Explored. Thanks for joining us today.